Welcome to a tutorial on how to make the lovely iris stitch in crochet. A stitch which gives you this lovely, soft, quite open weaved material that has a really nice drape to it. It's wonderful for using with any kind of clothing really, such as vests or cardigans. But let's have a little look at what we need to do to make this lovely stitch. And the first thing we need to do is make our foundation chains. To do that, you're going to need to pop a little slip knot on your hook. To do so, make a little loop in your fabric and then hook out the tail and pull it just so that it's nice and tight and sits comfortably on the hook. And from there we can start making our chains. So just to recap, to make your foundation chains, you just need to grab hold of the yarn with your hook and pull it through the hoop that is already on the shaft of the hook. Just like so. So that's grabbing hold of your yarn and just pulling it through that hoop that was already on the shaft. Now for the iris stitch, we need our foundation chains to be in sets of 4. So you can have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, up and up and up for however long you need in order to make your project. For mine, I'm going to be making 24 of these chains. So I've already done 2. There they are on them, and so I'm going to add another 22 on the end. And there we go, there are my 24 little chain stitches. And now onto the end of those, I'm going to put 3 more chains as my turning chains. So 1, 2, and 3. And from here, I'm going to count back 5 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this 5th chain is the one I'm going to be working my first stitch into. And the iris stitch is made using trebles. So what I'm going to do is I am going to wrap my yarn around my hook, like so. Then I'm going to insert the hook into that 5th stitch that we found before, like so. Grab hold of the yarn and pull through. Grab hold of it again, pull through 2 of the loops which are on the shaft, grab hold of the yarn again and then pull through the remaining 2 loops on the shaft so that we're left with just 1 loop on the shaft, as you can see. We're then going to repeat that. So we will make another treble. We're going to wrap our yarn around the hook, insert into exactly the same stitch we did before, grab our yarn and pull through, grab and pull through 2 hoops on the shaft, grab and pull through the remaining 2 hoops, so that we've now got 2 trebles going into that 5th stitch. After those 2 trebles we will add a single chain stitch, so we're just going to grab the yarn and pull through that 1 little loop that was on the shaft, and then we're going to do 2 more trebles again into this stitch that we were using before. So wrapping our yarn around that hook, inserting back into that same stitch again, grab and pull through, grab and pull through 2 loops, grab and pull through 2, and then repeating it again, another treble again into that exact same stitch. He's getting quite stretched now, but don't worry about it. So we'll just pop another treble in there again. And you can see that we've created this very nice little ridge into that stitch. So they're all going into that 1/5 stitch, and then we've got this nice curve going up over the top of it. From there though, we're going to move on to the next stitch, and we're going to need to skip some of the foundation chains to do so. We actually need to skip 3 of them. So have a little look closely at your chain so that you know which ones you're missing. We're avoiding 3, so this stitch, and this stitch are all going to be missed, and we will work into the 4th stitch along. And so, skipping those 3 stitches, I'm going to do yet another treble. So wrapping my yarn, and then I'm going to insert the hook into that 4th stitch we found earlier. Go in there. Grab my yarn and pull through. Grab and pull through 2. Grab and pull through 2. Now don't worry if at this stage you're noticing that things are starting to look a little bit pulled about. Quite often the first row of any stitch is going to be a bit on the scruffy side because things get pulled with their tension, but as you work on it, it will all even out. So don't worry about stitches like this where it's sort of getting tugged right away from the chains. But just the same as we did before, we're going to be working a total of 3 treble stitches into this little stitch with a chain in between them. so that it'll have a total of 2 trebles, 1 chain, and then 2 more trebles. So there's my second treble added in there. I need to add a chain on the end, like so, and then 2 more trebles into that stitch. And this is going to be our repeating pattern for the entirety of the first row. So with that set now completed, we're going to skip our 3 chains down at the bottom. So 1, 2 and 3. Once again, we will be working into the 4th stitch along. Just doing our little repeat of 2 trebles and a chain, then 2 more trebles into each of the stitches that we work. Two trebles, 1 chain, and 2 more little trebles. So I'll do that to the end of this row, and then I'll meet you back at the other side. And so here we are, this is the first row of my iris stitch. And so long as you started with the right number of foundation chains, you should find you come to the end and find you've only actually got 2 little chains left. Completely ignoring, of course, the little knot that's on the end. That is the slip knot that we created at the beginning. That can be completely ignored now. So what we need to do though is we need to do a little post stitch just into this last one, so that it's got a straight edge. And to do that, we're simply going to work a treble into the final stitch. So we will wrap our yarn as usual, insert our hook into that very last stitch, grab our yarn and pull through, grab and pull through 2 of the loops, grab and pull through the remaining 2. Now you might find that this sort of thing happens. This is just where the yarn has pulled away a little bit. You can just tug on that tail, just to tighten things up a little bit again. From here though, we're going to need to go back in the opposite direction. And so we're going to add 3 little turning chains onto the end. 2 and 3. And then we can flip our work over. And from here, the iris stitch actually gets even easier, because now we are just going to work exactly the same stitches, but this time we've got this nice big chain space in between the trebles that we can use. And so we can wrap our yarn as usual. We're now going to insert the hook into that space in between the trebles. You can see that's one of our little clusters just there. 2 trebles on one side, 2 trebles on the other, and that's where you made the chain in the middle of them. And so you're just going to go directly underneath that, into the space under, grab hold of your yarn and pull through, grab and pull through 2, grab and pull through 2, and we're going to repeat exactly the same thing that we did before. So into each of these spaces we are going to put 2 little trebles, a chain, and then 2 more trebles. 2 trebles, 1 chain, and 2 trebles, just like so. And so you can see how we've got this nice sort of clustering effect going on, which is part of what makes this such a pretty stitch. But we can now do row 2, so we can work our way back along, as I say, just working into little chain spaces that you've already created. So I'll just finish this row off and I'll meet you back on the other side. Okay, so there is row number 2 done as well, but coming to the other end, I've now got a little bit of an issue with this. So I've got no more spaces to make any more stitches. I need to attach this row onto the bottom one so that we've got a nice straight line. And so to do that, we're going to create another little treble post, and we're going to go into this set of chains here, which was the turning chains that we did on the first row. And so what I can do is I can wrap my yarn, and then I'm going to insert my hook into the top chain of this little set that we made, which in this case is this little link just here. So if I insert my hook in there, then I can grab my yarn and pull through. Pull through the little loops, I create a treble, and you can see that that has squared off the end so that we're going to have nice neat edges. From there, once again, we can do our 3 turning chains. 1, 2 and 3. flip our work and head back in the opposite direction in exactly the same way as we have just done. Once again, doing 2 trebles, a chain, then 2 trebles into the chain space. And so here we are at the end of row 3, and let's say we now wanted to change colour. Well, I want my edge stitch to be the same as this sort of camely yellow. So I'm going to work my edge treble into this top stitch just here, which is actually the top stitch of the turning chain from the row below. But I will just work that one in. And because I want to change colour though, I'm actually going to stop once I have 2 loops left on the shaft, because this is the point where I want to bring my new colour in. And so I'm going to bring in my new colour, I'm going to lay that over the shaft of my hook, and I'm going to pull that new colour instead through those 2 loops just like so. From there I can find the working tail of this new colour and I can add my 3 turning chains with the new colour. Just tighten them up down the bottom. Then we can flip our work over and work in the opposite direction. Just the same as before, but using the new colour this time to work into those chain spaces. And once you've done just a few stitches of the new colour, you can go back and cut the tail of the old colour, leaving yourself a good sort of 3 or 4 inches so you've got space to tie in the tail. But we'll just give that one a snip. That way that colour is now not in the way. But from here, we can now just continue on same as before, just with the new colour. Okay, so I just finished off my little swatch. I've done a couple of rows of the brown and then I've just done another row of the camely yellow up at the top. And so now I am ready to finish this one off. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come to the end of my work as if I was going to do those 3 little turning chains, and instead I'm just going to do 1 little chain, like so. Then I'm going to cut the tail. And then once that tail has been cut, I can just pull it all the way through and tighten it off on the end so that we've created a nice little knot just there. And now nothing is going to come unravelled. And that is it. That is literally everything you need to do to create this lovely iris stitch. As you can see, it is a very soft material. It is really quite flexible in the hands. It drapes very nicely and it grows really quickly, so it's a very satisfying stitch to do. Anywho, I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial. Happy crafting everybody, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye!